Hello and welcome to another podcast of Terror, a production of Galactic Netcasts. With me, as always, is Corey Big Daddy Spork Scott. Corey, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. That was the family-friendly version of my introduction.
What, Big Daddy Spork isn't a bad thing.
No, sporks are great. They're fun for all kids of every age, from 3 on up, I guess.
Sporks are nature's shovel, the food shovel,
The food shovel with a pointy bit.
but with a pointy bit. Joining Corey and I is the man, the myth, the legend, the host of Galactic Gaming Weekly, Ryan Murphy. Ryan, how are you?
Good. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about sporks. This is the spork podcast for Galactic Netcast, right? We
Yeah.
just talk about all the variety of sporks, and then like all of our listeners who are 80 plus that have like a little display case up on their wall with all their favorite sporks from all the different nations and states.
Yeah, we are the
Is that a
podcast
thing?
of terror, as in terror into that pudding cup.
Yeah,
Those-
man.
Cup, but pudding works too. That was awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming, Ryan.
No problem.
As was mentioned, this is the family-friendly episode. We're going to be talking Five Nights at Freddy's, which is a super popular video game for children, which is
Weird.
also too terrifying for myself as a grown adult. For more on this podcast, including show notes, content information, subscription links, go to gncasts.com/pot. For other shows from the Galactic Netcast, just go to gncast.com.
We should make a statement warning that this is probably the only family-friendly episode of the podcast of terror.
Who knows? If this
So-
goes over well, we might do these more often where I pay more attention.
They'll be specially labeled. iTunes needs to make a non-explicit tag.
Yeah, they do. It's just a little white C instead of
Oh.
a big red E.
I've never seen it.
As always, we're spoiler heavy because we assume that if you're listening to this, you know a thing or two about the topic. So if you haven't, do what I did and go watch 5 hours of the Game Theory episodes of Five Nights at Freddy's.
Or you could actually play it. It is available to play for
It's
those of you who enjoy such things.
To play, I don't like things jumping out at me, and that is the basis of this game.
You probably don't want to go play it because it's a terrifying game. I mean, if you want a great playthrough, my friend Jocelyn Moffat, who is my co-host on Gamers In, she did a playthrough and her YouTube video. It's probably one of her most viewed YouTube videos that isn't Hearthstone related, but it does just, and it's certainly not kid friendly. So I know we were trying to keep this kid friendly. So I won't say what was said in the video, but it's worth seeing that video if you can handle the swears.
I'm gonna have to. I gotta make a note to watch that. But
Yeah, but the kids listening, just continue. But that's the other thing too. If kids are playing this and watching this, the kids are obviously watching YouTube videos of people playing.
Yeah.
Is it physically possible to play this game without swearing? Think
That's
about it.
really good question because I know even watching some of the playthrough videos would make me swear.
Yeah, I know. And the thing is, like, parents who know they're watching, their kid is watching videos of this game, which is fine because the game really doesn't have a lot of like explicit content. All the explicit content is really inferred by the outside gamers or explicit content of people playing through it. I live in a madhouse.
Oh, it happened.
It's a haunted house here. That's why there's barking. But no. Anyways, I think if you're a parent and you're thinking like, oh, let the kids watch all the YouTubes, don't do it because there's swears. Just throwing it out.
No, that's a valid point. This going back a little bit, we're gonna probably jump around because I'm not enjoying an adult beverage. Therefore, I have to think. But this was recommended by a good listener / friend of mine, Seth Wolf, whose children, Theo and Natalie, have just watched these videos like nuts. And I had minimal interaction with this game until Seth and I talked about it, and then Ryan, you and I started talking about it. Blah blah blah. Here we are, and I now know everything there is to know about the theory of Five Nights at Freddy's. Before, though, we actually talk about Five Nights at Freddy's, I do want to cover some horror gaming news, because the Dying Light, the following expansion comes out tomorrow, which I know, Ryan, you said you've played it. Corey,
Yeah.
have you played it?
No, I don't have any current gaming systems. I'm still on a PS3 and an Xbox 360, so I don't know if this is available for those.
I think it was supposed to be, but then they canceled it at the last. No, well, not the last minute, but close to release. But it was supposed to be available on all platforms. So.
Which
well, darn the man.
I want it might be on PC too, but I know you're not a big PC gamer. But I'm excited. The new story. There's a new story. There's a new campaign with the expansion, which seems to be more games are doing that. I think Destiny did it too. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The interesting thing about the following is that it was a game that it was an expansion, a piece of DLC that they were going to offer as part of the season pass, but then it sort of grew in scope where they then turned it into a quote-unquote expansion. And you still get it if you own the season pass, but they actively had to increase the price of the season pass to reflect the actual price of the following, which was awesome the way they did it, because a lot of companies would just jack the price up without warning anybody. But they basically said, look, we're going to be adding this content to the season pass. It's going to be this price until this date. If you buy it before then, you'll get it at like a highly discounted price. If you buy it afterwards, you're still getting the right amount of content for the price, but you're going to pay a little more. So
the season pass went
cool. Sorry?
You know what the season pass went up to in price?
I think it went from 20 to 30.
Oh, so that's not even. I got it at 20 because I heard that it was going up because of the size of the following. But $30 isn't that bad. Destiny's was 60.
Yeah, Destiny's was like paying for a whole new game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Destiny: The Taken King was sort of one of those quote unquote expansions. It wasn't like the DLC they offered. It was really like a whole other game that made that game much better than its original launch.
Yeah, it redid a bunch of the old game too. It changed a lot of the settings and even voice work done in the original, as I understand it.
Mm-hmm. It was a really solid entry, but it was still a little expensive. Like you're right, it wasn't as expensive as a new release, but it was pretty close, which was unfortunate because it's a busy time of year in September, and we're going to get a new Destiny game every year, which, yeah, so be prepared for that.
I never made it to the second DLC, or excuse me, the Taken King DLC of Destiny. I really lost my interest when I finished the game, and there really wasn't much more to do. I know there was things to do, and you could still level up, but to me it was like I was done. I was done with it.
Yeah, I enjoyed my time with it, but I think I got my money's worth. But I know a lot of people who dropped out like pretty close to the original's run and didn't really get their money's worth. So
yeah, I really like completing a game and moving on to the next one.
Yeah, and that's hard with Destiny because you can really never finish it. It is essentially an MMO, but with less content. And the stuff they're adding, willy-nilly in lead up to the next expansion has been, I don't know, it's on par with like World of Warcraft's holiday events, which are awesome, but not the thing that keeps most people coming back. It has a lot of people coming back. I won't throw those people under the bus, but it's just not solid enough content to really drive people. So.
Now, to be fair to Bungie, though, is that they sent out mailers to people asking their opinions as to, are you playing the game as much? Are you not playing it as much? What are the reasons in either direction and stuff? So it seems like they're really receptive to player feedback, and they want to improve the whole situation of the game. It seems like there was a lot of missteps along the way, and they realize it, and they're trying to improve things overall. And they're looking to involve the players in that, which is a great thing for a company. A lot of companies never make it that far.
Yeah, Bungie's been really good and very vocal with their community and listening, although I haven't really heard. Right now they're doing like a Valentine's event, so but they've said there is stuff coming, but it's already February, and there should be something, there needs to be something big that's keeping people playing. It's been 6 months since the game came out, and there really hasn't been much. I haven't gone back, but yeah.
Which is, it's a valid point, is they have to do something to keep people coming back because there's always new games coming out. There's always new, giant titles. Like, surprisingly, I don't know how I've managed to do this, but I'm playing through Uncharted again. almost to the end of the second one. I played through the first to play through the fourth one, the remaster, the Nathan Drake collection, which I never thought I would actually do it. Like, I wanted to because I love those games, but I never thought I would actually do it.
Yeah.
And Call of Duty is playing a remastered version of the original game, so take that as you wish, but you have to do something special to keep people coming back because the attention span of people is short.
Yeah, you need that 30 seconds of fun. It's actually Bungie's theory that I first heard it. It was, I think, the Halo 2 making of video, and they said, Halo is all about 30 seconds of fun. Like, if you're not doing something new every 30 seconds, then you can quickly lose your attention, because there's a lot out there. Like, for me, especially, like, XCOM 2 has great 30 seconds of fun. Oh, one more turn, oh, one more scan, one more event, and that's perfect. But if you don't have that 30 seconds of fun, like, say, The Witness, my attention span goes, oh, I'm going to go buy a game that doesn't, crack the whip and punish me, and, I mean, Friday Night at Freddys has that 30 seconds of fun because you're constantly trying to micromanage not being caught, I guess.
Yeah. Just to bring it back for a second, can you guys describe a little bit about what Dying Light, the game, is? Not necessarily just the expansion, but in general, because I know nothing really about it.
Parkour Simulator 2015.
With zombies.
With zombies, yeah.
With zombies. See, that's why it's a horror show.
It's first person. There's a really big focus on parkour. They don't call it parkour, but I have not played it in a really long time, so Ryan, fill in the gaps as needed. But there's 3 different leveling systems. So you level up 3 different areas. One is your agility, one is like fighting, and one is like craftsman type stuff. But the more like buildings and stuff you run around and jump on, the faster you level that up. And I remember thinking it was a super cool game, and a friend of mine was like, just wait until it's nighttime. And that's when stuff like really gets insane because all these things are chasing you and you're running, and yeah, it was really intense. But it had a great story that I really enjoyed and some of the side missions. So I personally am very excited for the following because I've wanted a reason to go back to this game, but I needed a new story to do it. I can't just run around and do side missions. That doesn't appeal to me at all.
Yeah. No, the game certainly it was unique in that it used the Skyrim mentality of leveling up, and that the more you did something, the more points you got into that specific task. So when you were running around climbing, you were getting points into the parkour system, the agility. And when you were doing combat, you were getting points into your combat. And I didn't beat the game, but I enjoy what I played of it, and it was just nice to play a zombie game that wasn't Resident Evil or The Walking Dead. It was a nice new entry in actually probably one of the better zombie games that came out last year. I mean, there isn't a lot of competition, but
Did you
it
play
was just really cool.
3?
Did I play? Sorry,
You played Dead Rising 3?
I didn't. No, but I played a little bit of the original Dead Rising, and I know Dead Rising 3 actually got fairly well reviews, but it was a launch title on Xbox One, I think.
I always see it's on Steam on sale for like $20, and it's still listed at brand new price for $50, I believe.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like when the price point drops that far, it's likely a dud.
Yeah, it was. I think it just fell flat. It was a launch title, right? Like a launch title for the Xbox One, and even if you slap a new coat of graphic paint on it for the PC, I don't think it really makes the game any better. But it just, I think it got reviews of just being like, it's dumb fun, and you'll find the fun if you can. But it's another Dead Rising game. But no, I haven't played much of it. I think I played a little bit of it. I borrowed a Xbox One copy a while ago. So.
Oh, nice. Someday I'll buy it when it's cheap enough. But 1, I enjoyed. 2, kind of like you said, you're just putting a new coat of paint on something. I have a friend who lives and dies by Dead Rising. He thinks it's the greatest game ever. So if he actually would ever listen to this, we'll probably come to words. But I don't know. And that's, like you said, that's why I liked Dying Light, because it was a new vision on an old game idea.
Yeah.
It sucked, though, is that and I'm going to ruin this for you, but the final boss fight is just like a quick time event.
Oh, yeah. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, you do all this running and climbing and jumping, and you get to the top, and you just quick time.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, sorry to ruin that for you, but that's what you get when you come to the show.
Oh, right, spoilers. No, but hey, QuickTime events gets a bad rap, and sometimes it's just really hard to design a boss fight, and you just want a cool cinematic, and you chuck a couple of QuickTime events in there, and bada bing, bada boom, you got a conclusion.
That's a valid point. I do not feel like that QuickTime event boss battle ruined the game for me. It could have been done better. How it could have been done better, I don't know. Therefore, had it not been a QuickTime event, it could have destroyed the game.
Yeah.
So it's me being an American male saying it's not good enough, but I don't know how it could be better.
There's nothing worse than an infuriating boss fight.
That's true. I'd rather take the QuickTime event than the one that I can never finish because I can't duck quick enough.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of trying to do better, that's what we're trying to do here at Galactic Netcasts, and you can help us out by supporting our Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/galacticnetcast, you can help us do a little bit better by maybe getting some better web hosting or looking at audio hosting for the podcasts themselves, and just in general try to grow the network a little bit more with shows like our Galactic Gaming News and our Weird World Weekly and Sci-Fi Geeks Club and Adventure Party and plenty of other stuff, but new things that are coming all the time, like our new Exploring the X-Files show. We've got a lot of things that we want to do for you, and we want to keep building and going along, and you can help out for as little as $1 a month. You can help keep us moving forward. For $3 a month, you can also get in on our newsletters, which will come out once a month with extra stories related to all of our different podcasts, but you get to choose which ones you follow. We've worked very long and hard to make that system work out. And for $5 a month, you can get an extra episode of each of your favorite podcasts, exclusive only to the patrons. So stop on by, throw us some cash. We'll see what we can do for you.
We like money.
We like making great content and sharing it.
Yeah, I see none of the
supporters.
I don't know what I'm talking about, but
speaking of great content, you can also support a couple of our sponsors by going to stratospheremerch.com. You can use the coupon code TEAR for 15% off your entire order. Get some really snazzy shirt. Is your band shirt on the site?
Not because we chose not to sell it.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
You just give them away for free then?
This run, yeah, because we actually yet to play a show, which is going to be changing soon when that's finalized. But so we decided to print shirts and just give them to our friends.
Cool.
And then if we have some when we play a show, we will sell those, and then we'll take that money and turn around and print more. We're not trying to be famous. That ship has sailed.
Although there are some very cool people wearing your shirts.
That's awesome, and it's really cool to see the friends that I have accumulated and friendships I've created podcasting. Essentially, that's how I met all of those people, blindly supporting our band, because no one knows what we sound like because we haven't recorded yet either.
The other thing is the shirts are very nice quality. I was sporting it last week and I really liked it, and I know that they use the same company to make the shirts over on Matt Vincent's site. If you go to thehate.com, THEHVIII.com, and use the coupon code KICK15 for 15% off there, you can support another friend of the show and get some of his excellent merchandise. Not just shirts, but also hats and cooler bottles to take to work, and a mug that I will not tell you what the phrase is on it, but it's actually really neat.
It's just super nice mug. I actually am thinking about getting another one of these days, but he's got a lot of cool stuff, and he's got more stuff coming out soon too. So he always new stuff coming out, so it's a money pit for me.
And he's an excellent dude, so it's one of those things that both of these companies are people that we want to support because they're wonderful people. They're friends of ours, and they make great stuff.
Stratosphere uses the Next Level shirts as well.
Yeah.
Because Stratosphere is who designed and printed our shirts. So that's that. Quick, we got some emails, which is awesome. I appreciate people sending emails. I see an email that comes to the POT@gncast.com, and I squee a little bit like a child because we're doing something right. People send in things. Jeff Cutshaw apparently sent 2.
He sent one in relation to a story that he had when we talked about The Exorcist on last week's show. Again, a warning, kids. It's not. We make the dirty words happen, but
That movie is for adults anyways, right? It's not a kid movie.
Yeah,
full romantic comedy with a real happy ending.
Oh, I think I watched the wrong one.
I think we all did.
But Jeff emailed and said his brother saw The Exorcist at the original release in theaters in the 70s, and he said he immediately came home and burned his sister's Ouija board.
Well, that's a great way to go get haunted. Like
Exactly. Release the spirits into the air with soot of the darned.
the Ouija board is what's keeping them at bay, allowing them to speak and be heard. Like, come on, guys. That's like Ghostbusters 101. You don't burn the portal in which just.
But if the portal's closed and you burn it, then there's no way for them to talk to you again. They can't release them.
Or there's no way for them to go back home.
That's a valid point. Jeff, I know you're listening, so please tell us if your brother was haunted for years to come.
Well, yeah, and that might explain a lot, actually. I mean, I've never met Jeff's brother, but maybe there's some behavior that Jeff's brother exhibited that is now explained.
Jeff also said that The Exorcist 2, it was 2, right?
Yes.
It's a steaming pile of dog poop, which we all knew.
We were guessing. We were assuming that it was not good, and we were looking for any kind of feedback from listeners who had seen it, and it was nice to get some verification of that. Fortunately, Jeff didn't ask us to actually watch it ourselves, so we're still off the hook at the moment.
Yeah. There's still time.
All right.
But let's get into the whole reason that Ryan is here. Other than his bright, shiny face and sunny disposition, Five Nights at Freddy's. We decided we were going to talk about all 4, which I also found out in my hours and hours of research that they... oh, man, I can't think of the guy's name. What's the creator's name? Scott?
Oh, yeah.
Wrote?
Calburn? Calhoun? It's Scott something. Scotty C. Let's call him Scotty C.
But he's making a family-friendly RPG game called FNAF World.
Yeah, it actually came out for like a week, and then he took it down. It was funny. He released it because he was excited about it, and he wanted people to play it. And then it started to get some. It was actually well received, but it started to get some feedback like along the lines of it's broken. There's some bugs, and he apologized and took it down, and then said basically he would give everyone a refund. And also, or maybe the refund part's not right, but he did definitely say he would be making it free when it came back. So.
His name is Scott Coffin.
Oh.
Weird. Scott C. in the ballpark. I'm not entirely sure where to start with this. If you've never played the game, the gameplay concept is that you are a security guard, overnight security guard at a pizza joint a la Chuck E. Cheese called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. And that's the name of the first one, right? I know it changes a couple times.
Yeah, there's some different restaurants, and again, I have not played any Five Nights at Freddy's, but watched the glorious and kid-friendly, mostly game theorist series on Five Nights at Freddy's, and he is, I think is Matt Patrick or something. He is obsessed with this game series. Like, it's been fun to watch and live alongside that stuff, but. Yeah, there's a bunch of restaurants, and one's like a trailer, and then one's like a Chuck E. Cheese, and it's weird.
It really is weird. I never knew that there was such an in-depth concept, potential story arc to the game. But there's 2 potential theories that Matt kind of lines up with, and in the end, he goes back to the dream theory being the reality, but how the dream theory is really kind of a cop-out. The other theory is that there was the Purple Man that people constantly talk about. Is he kills he killed 5 kids, and put them inside the animatronic suits, and that's why they move around, which apparently really happened. That was like kind of based on a true story.
Well, yeah, couple of like real live news stories where I think one was an after hours sort of incident involving a bad man, and then a second one was a weekend incident involving a bad man and some suits, and I think just stashing a recently alive person.
Yes.
Trying to be as kid friendly as possible.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate that. I won't have to go back and you put the beeps and the bloops in. But going back to the Dream Theory, which seemed the most interesting to me based on the number of children that love this game. You know, the Scott Cawthon seems like too much of a straightforward kind of outside the box thinker to go with the fact that this is just someone killed children. You know what I mean? So the Dream Theory stuck out most to me, and the timeline's insane. So keep in mind, I'm about to try and take 4 hours of video and put it into one paragraph. But the first game takes place in what they've determined to potentially be the mid to late 90s.
96?
96, 97. And he found this out by averaging out the minimum wage at the time.
Right, versus the money on the checks.
Yeah, 7,000% more work than I would have done. I tip my hat to you, Matt. But it kind of all comes full circle to this child in the 80s who's being scared by a man who put on the Golden Freddy suit. And, oh God, my paragraph makes no sense now. My note. Now that I'm reading this, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. But there's some parallels to Foxy, who's one of the animatronics. His jump scare in the first Five Nights at Freddy's being kind of replayed is this nightmare that the child has in the fourth one, which 1, 2, and 3 take place in restaurants, 4 takes place in a house. They kind of... Matt also talks about how the purple guy is really an employee who's in the shadows, so he's not purple, but the purple represents the shadows in all of the minigames, because there's like Atari-like minigames in between each of the levels. My favorite part, though, of my completely jumbled and non-coherent paragraph that I put together here is that every night on FNAF, I'm just going to say FNAF, it's easier to say. 1 through 3 ends in a chiming grandfather clock, whereas the end of nights in FNAF 4 sound like a beeping alarm. He came to that conclusion that the fourth one is a child in a hospital who's dreaming everything, based on the pills, the IV, and I believe flowers, which, coming full circle, is why the Dream Theory is... Every game progressively gets weirder and weirder.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's a great way to explain why all this crazy stuff keeps happening to this specific restaurant chain. And when you say, like, sometimes they say, oh, the Dream Theory is a cop-out, but don't you think, like, all the restaurants were haunted is also kind of a cop-out, and it's probably more realistic to say that the series is based in a child's imagination than in some sort of supernatural base. It seems like, I don't know, it seems like people don't give the Dream Theory enough credit, and that maybe it could make sense, especially if that kid suffered a traumatic event like being hurt by one of these animatronics. I mean, robots in the 80s, I mean, they all weren't like that weird robot movie Circuit 5 or whatever. Like, they were scary things.
Short Circuit?
Short Circuit, yeah. So his name's Johnny 5.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
He is alive.
And he's alive, and it had that weird guy who played a Koopa in the Super Mario Brothers movie. But yeah, no, I just think that the Dream Theory works, and maybe it is because by the fourth one he realized so many kids were playing. He's like, okay, we need to wind this back and make it more kid friendly. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. I mean, it's his series; he can do whatever he wants, and as long as the story remains somewhat cohesive.
It also sounds like a kind of throwback to the Luigi game that was out, where they determined that a lot of the stuff that happened in the game Luigi was dreaming the entire time. I don't remember a lot about the game besides that, except that I think he fought ghosts in it or something.
Oh, Luigi's Mansion.
I
Yeah.
believe that was the case.
Yeah, those games are great. And again, like the story is sort of a layer that works. You know, as long as the story is somewhat understandable. I don't think the story really needs to be 100% like nailed, especially for these little mini game type things like FNAF, right? Where FNAF, I think gameplay is king, and then the story is sort of this extra layer that is the icing on the cake for a lot of these people, a lot of people who play this series.
Yeah. Well, also in the first game, the Five Nights at Freddy's 1, the the game theorist kind of determined that that was a dream as well, but it was the dream that the person that is who's basically the overnight guard at the place that is being haunted by these uh, robot things is actually the person who put the kids inside the suits to begin with,
Yeah.
and that it was all his dream of his guilt.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he goes about this, like I tried playing that first game, I played it a couple of times and just couldn't really get the hang of it. There's so much depth beyond what you see when you just start playing it, though. And I couldn't say that it gave me really good instructions as to what to do when I started it out. So now I have a better understanding. I can go back and play it, maybe get further in it than I did the first time. But with the way that the things on the walls, the messages change, where the gold Freddy suit comes from and everything, the whole concept behind that felt really deep and enriched by the discussion that I would not have picked up on just as a casual player. And obviously that depth gets explored more and more as he goes further back in the games. And another thing is the reviewer said when he went through this for number 2, there was later on, Scott pointed out that a lot of the stuff that he had said was on point. And so that's pretty amazing. I mean, these videos are really excellent to watch in and of themselves, but it is, I love those deeper mythologies. Like anytime Matt and I talk about movies, especially movies with sequels or prequels, I'm more interested in the mythology behind it than I am what the actual story of the single film is. And so this made this far more compelling. And I don't think that it discounts the other stories by having it all be a dream by this kid in the 4th one. It is interesting how it keeps going backwards in time. At some point, they're going to have to add up to something, maybe. But
Well, I don't think there's a 5th one. I think he's done with the actual FNAF game as it exists. Now, who's to say that a dump truck full of money might not change that? But you have to keep in mind that all 4 of these games came out like in the span of 18 months.
Yeah.
It was like one came out every 4 months, which was insane. So going back to what you said a little earlier, Ryan, about how when he got to the 4th one that he maybe thought, well, maybe none of this makes sense and it's got to be a dream, is I feel like he had the whole thing done. And then it was just polishing and releasing as they came out so quickly.
Yeah.
He could also
that
be
would make sense.
a programmer and could just whip these games up in a weekend.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense that he had maybe the whole thing mapped out, and as he was going, it was okay, I have one pretty much ready to go. Let's put it out there. I mean, they sold really well, and it was really smart to kind of have all of them ready to go within a year. And I mean, he really used the horror model of just like throwing these games out, similar to how the Saw franchise did it. Like every Halloween, you're getting a new game or a new movie, right? And he's smart, and he certainly he hit a specific audience, both kids and Twitch streamers and YouTube stars. They loved this stuff. It's that kind of game, and he already had his dump truck full of money moment when he sold the rights for a movie, which they're working on.
Which I'm really curious to see how that is going to play out.
Yeah.
I don't know of a game that has the similar style, the gameplay style, either. I know there was a Kickstarter in, oh gosh, it's probably almost 5 years now, 4 or 5 years, for the guys who created Space Quest for the Space Venture game. And they have a mini game inside the game, which is the exact same gameplay style as FNAF with their characters, which I think is a huge cop-out. Because this concept was brand new at the time, to me at least. and I'm sure to a lot of people. And then you get the horror aspect from the jump scares. And I think maybe going off of what you said about the popularity with Twitch streamers is because of the jump scares and the reactions. So people want to watch because they want to see the player react.
Yeah.
And they want to hear what they're going to say. Like in the instance of your friend's video, I'm sure something hilarious was said at a jump scare. And that's why it has the views, because someone sees something funny, they go show all their friends.
Yeah, they want to watch people go through torture. I think that's pretty much the point of watching people play this game, is that you get to experience. You're not experiencing the game, because if you've seen one video, you know the gameplay. And if you watch the game theory videos, you know the story and the endings. Basically, everything's spoiled for you. So really, all you have is the reactions. And every reaction is going to be different because every person is different. And, man, it's just such a smart move by everybody on this part. I don't know. It's just
watching gameplay on a game like this. I mean, there's not a lot there. It's one thing if you're watching it for the story, and you get to see someone who maybe knows what they're doing, and so they get to advance along in a way that you couldn't necessarily as a less inclined gamer. The other thing is that sometimes you might watch it just in the same way that you watch football or things. It's that person getting sacked that gets a little bit more exciting. It's like, oh yeah, he's gonna make. Oh no, he didn't. No, but then you're still just like, well, let's see if he makes it through this next time. I can see trying to play the first game. There wasn't a lot in the way of the gameplay, and I think that the first thing in the videos that we watched, there is a previous review that he kind of tacks on to the first behind the scenes, talking about the mysteries and stuff behind it, where it was the review of the game itself, and he wasn't very impressed with it, but he came back to it later because there was so much more to it that he missed the first time through. Mm-hmm. And I think that as a viewer is probably a little bit more, you can catch those things when you're not sitting there kind of freaked out of, oh, is this bear going to get me? Do I have to turn the lights on now or not? When you can look at the screen and say, oh, I can actually read these messages now, or I can catch the flashes a little bit better because I'm not trying to do too many things at once, or I'm not being distracted by my dad coming into the room and saying, "Get off your stupid phone." It's I think that it can be more interesting than watching someone play, checkers or something.
Yeah, no, I think it makes perfect sense for people to really enjoy it. And for someone who doesn't enjoy scary games, the only way I would have experienced this game is through YouTube videos, gameplay or theory, and that's why that's how I found out about Game Theory as a YouTube channel. They do a lot of great stuff, a lot of great series, and they're huge Nintendo fans, which gets a plus in my books because every other video is about the Mario Kingdom. So if you want even more great theory, they do some awesome things with Nintendo franchises as well. But yeah, the series I have no interest in playing, but I have every interest in following what this guy does and where he goes. And frankly, I hope the movie is straight up like a kid horror film, similar to the new Goosebumps film that came out.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're aiming for. They'd be stupid not to, because you want to take advantage of that PG-13 rating so you can get all the kids there, but still have a good PG-13 horror film.
Although, wasn't that Unfriended movie that came out recently PG-13 as well?
Oh, it might have been. I'm trying to remember the last great PG-13 horror film, and most ones that come to mind just usually fall flat. But I think Unfriended was one that everything kind of happened off camera. There wasn't a lot, next to no blood.
And it really feels like the way that was filmed is in line with what you would do with this kind of game as well, because it's all taking place through cameras and screens and phones, laptops. That is probably pretty close to where I would say is the jumping off point to start with making something like this. But you're right, because of watching what this guy did with the theory behind the games and with the stories and stuff, I'm far more interested in it now than I would have been just from the initial trying to play the game, or even just seeing someone casually play it and going, "What are you doing?" Because there's so much more thought that went into it, as long as the production company knows to focus on those parts instead of just trying to do a cash grab and putting monsters in costumes. I think that it could be really excellent.
going back a little bit, Unfriended was rated R,
Oh,
as was
Really?
Nun, which are kind of the same movie. Maggie was PG-13, but that's more drama. The new Poltergeist is PG-13. Krampus was PG-13. Tremors 5 was PG-13.
Krampus might. I don't know how Krampus did, but Krampus might be a good bar of the type of film because it was certainly a film about things killing people. And really and honestly, like if they do if they do a Five Nights at Freddy movie correctly, there shouldn't be any on-screen death because then the movie would end because the hero or the protagonist would be done and it'd be like a really short film. So really they just have to kind of insinuate the backstory while having scary moments of the security guard in a pizza place, and then they can have interstitial day shots where the pizza place is actually operating. I think it's kind of an. I mean, whoever picked up those rights, smartest people alive.
Yeah. And just to give us something to go off of, Gremlins was PG in 1984, and I think that is a movie that both kids loved and had a lot of great scares in it.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
I guess my question, I'm trying to think. So going back to the movie that they will ultimately create, do you think that Scott is gonna maybe give the writers the answers that the people want? I know he wrote a book too. If it was an audiobook, I probably would be listening to it, but I don't like reading, so. And I haven't heard or saw any sort of reviews of the book to see if the book answers questions that the game didn't. But you have to assume that in releasing all of this additional content that is not games, some sort of answer has to come out. People will eventually want to know what happened, or they will get bored with it. So maybe FNAF World will answer those questions. Maybe the movie will. I feel like if the book did, we would have already seen it.
Well, I also think there's two things to consider. One is, yes, he obviously would have given them all the information he had when he sold the property, because there's a Bible that they would ask for to say, give us everything that you've got for this amount of money, and he'd be like, yes, thank you for all the money. But the other part is, no, I don't know that would all be revealed in the movie, because I think that they would hold some things back for potential sequels, which you can't tell me that a game that's had 4 huge successes in a row is not going to be something that a movie company is going to want sequels from. That's why they're champing at the bit for it.
So just taking a look at a quick Google search for the movie, and I guess the director is pretty active. They have the director Gil Keenan, and he's actually been doing a lot of tweets and coverage of his production of the film, and he's actually working on live animatronic, obviously, of the main baddies, and working with Jim Henson, Huge Creature Shop, on this stuff. So they're doing it right. I think that, and also Scott Coffin is going to be heavily involved in collaborating. So this film, hey, it might actually be the first great video game adaptation. You never know.
And just the marketing, the ability, they've already got some plush figures of the characters. This is something that's going to do very well for itself.
Yeah, there's action figures coming out this summer, I believe. Which, man, that guy made such a good decision to cash in when he could. Although you think about it, the first one's only $2.99, right, Corey?
Yeah, I bought it using. Google has a thing where if you do surveys from them, you can earn credits for Google Play. So I paid for it on my phone, and I think I've already made up the amount of credits that I spent on it.
Yeah, I mean, you can get all 4 games on Steam for $12.50 in a pack right now. Granted, they're on sale because of the Lunar Sale, but even at full price, they're $5, $8, and $8.
Yeah, and they're on iOS as well, and Android as well. I don't know. I think a lot of people play them on their phones. I have the first one on PC through one of many Humble bundles, but yeah, it's worth checking out, like trying, especially if you're into scary games. If you love scary games, I'd be surprised if you hadn't come across this one already.
Yeah, I remember when the first one came out, a friend of mine was trying to get me to buy it, and that's when I first looked it up, and I'm like, no, not for me. I don't think he ever got very far, but I left it at that until we started talking about doing this episode, and then the whole like theory thing came out. So I really liked the idea that it's more than just a jump scare game. There's depth. There's a lot of depth to it, and there's no clear answer. And even when Scott would respond to the game theorist guys, he never gave them direct answers, which I think made him go crazy a little bit, which
Yeah.
is funny to me. But it just made him want to figure it out more on his own, which was super, super awesome.
Hmm.
I'm scared to play it. I can't rate the game because I'm scared to play it,
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
which is terrible. But
I'll see the movie. How's that sound? I won't read the book. I won't play the games. I'll see the movie.
I'm kind of intrigued by the book now.
how
It's got very good reviews.
long is it? Is it more than like 200 pages?
I don't know.
Look at
man.
me.
Is it just like fan fiction? Is that what it is?
No, he wrote it himself.
Oh, okay.
It's 466 pages in paperback.
Oof.
Wow.
We need to get an audiobook.
It is a serious book. Now they have it on Kindle. I don't know if they have the playback for Kindle.
Get on that Skyclaw. Need an audiobook of your book here.
Or an audio play, like one of those ones where they do on Audible, where they do the whole reenactment with actors and they have music and atmospheric effects and things.
Ooh, that would be good.
Yeah,
That'd be good.
yeah, it's $10, $11 in paperback on Amazon. 641 reviews, 4.5 stars. Pretty impressive, in my opinion. I'll have to look more into that. Maybe we'll end up reading it. But I think if you guys are good, we can go ahead and probably wrap this up. I know XCOM is calling Ryan over there.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my clock. It's like, okay, wife's not home yet. Kate's not home yet. There's still XCOM time to be had. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed being on the show, and it sucks that it's already over because I do really like talking about Five Nights at Freddy's, playing different conversation. So
I thought it would be easier to talk about more, but I feel like I watched so much content that it was there's a Simpsons reference here. When Mr. Burns is really sick and that he's so sick with everything, they call it like the Three Stooges effect, where it's all trying to get out at once and nothing comes through. That's what's happening in my brain right now.
man.
But thank you, Ryan, for coming. We will have you back in the future. Maybe a game that you've actually played.
And Ryan, is there places where people can find you online? Any place you'd like to send people?
Sure. Well, there's as mentioned, I do Galactic Gaming News for Galactic Netcasts. Try to do it once a week, but occasionally things do get in the way. But I do that for the
It's
Galactic
called
Netcast.
Birth.
Yeah, yeah. There was a couple weeks there where it's like, I have a son now. I should probably record a pod. No. I also do the Gamers In video game focused Zombies Ate My Podcast, which is also zombie horror focused, and then also Sleeping with the Elephant with Paul Swickard, which is a past co-host of Galactic Netcast fame. And we talk about American, Canadian culture, stuff like that. But you can find all my stuff at ryanmurphy.ca. It's all right there in a handy package. And if you use Twitter, you can follow me at rmurphy. And that should really just give you everything, including XCOM 2 content.
Live tweeting XCOM 2 like a boss.
Usually like live tweeting XCOM, but if all my soldiers are dying, I just show a picture of my newborn son reacting comically.
You can contact us by leaving a message at 805-328-3966 or on our website, gncast.com. You can email us at pot@gncasts.com. Also, we have a Twitter. So, Ryan, a little backstory so I can publicly shame Corey quick.
Sure.
I promoted him to the Executive Vice President of Social Media, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that's ever used in our Instagram, and 90% of the Twitter comes from me.
I tried to post on Instagram the other day, and I realized that my Instagram on my phone is tied to my account.
Yeah,
There's no easy way to sign out and sign into the other account. I sort of despise Instagram. In fact, I dropped my account before, and then they wouldn't let me have it back.
Yeah, I don't know why Instagram doesn't allow like an easier model for multiple logins. They should.
One of those things where it would get your user base up. It worked for Twitter for a while.
Absolutely. So who knows? Our Instagram might die. Probably not. I'll just end up being pictures of food.
Yeah, Instagram. Figure your stuff out. Or
Can't do it from on the computer either. Lameoids.
Oh, that drives me nuts.
Oh yeah, that's true. Instagram, the true horror.
Yeah. Episode of this podcast just on the horrors of Instagram.
Yeah. Well, next week, right?
Yeah. Right. Maybe I'll live Instagram my trip to Ohio.
There you go.
Not on the podcast, the Terror Instagram.
That does sound terrifying.
Oh,
you can also follow us on Twitter, the other place that we don't post very often. That is Podcast of Terror.
It's getting better. Yeah, I bet come October we'll do more stuff because that's like Halloween season.
Yeah.
But
you got a long time you got 7 months to prepare.
We need it.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't know how we do things here. We're gonna need 7 months. You can subscribe to this podcast via iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcatcher. That's a funny word to me. You can leave us a review at whichever one you like. All subscription options and links can be found under the subscribe tab at gncasts.com/POT. You can join our Facebook page under Galactic Netcasts, the Galactic Collective. You can see all the stuff we do. So once again, thank you, Ryan Murphy. Hopefully you get 1 million Twitter followers based on this podcast alone.
I've seen your kid. Your kid is cute, so posting pictures of your kid on Twitter.
Yeah, video games didn't work, so I figured why not try small children. So.
What a strange Twitch channel that would be.
Yeah. There's some stuff in there that you could easily twist and make me a bad person. But seriously, I'm a great father. I just don't know where my kid is right now. So.
Well, he's not your current responsibility, so you're off the hook.
Yeah. Oh no, it's true. He's being watched by much more capable people than me. Ashley's a real trooper. She is doing this parenting thing a lot better than I am. I'm on a podcast. I'm not taking care of my kid. Someone is taking care of my kid, though. Please do not write in. Please.
I'm going to spend hours editing just by pulling out single words that says, I don't know where my kid is.
Yeah. Child Services like, we listened to a podcast of terror and found that you stated you did not know where your child was. But it wasn't 11 p.m., so it's fine.
Well, the good news is you're in Canada, so even if he drops off in the snow somewhere, he'll still get free healthcare. That's
true. Actually. Yeah. Oh, man, that's a fun conversation to have with Americans is like, how much did it cost to have a kid? It's like, I don't know, parking. Sorry.
That's fine. I work for a pharmaceutical benefit management company, so I
guess if you have benefits, it's not nearly as much of a problem, I guess.
No, it is.
Oh.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Corey, where do you want people to maybe find you on the internet if you're into be founding?
I'm still trying to work on my website. Speaking of Seth, who you mentioned earlier, he sent a very lengthy email that I answered with an even lengthier email. I will try to get that up on my website if you go to CaptainTemerity.com because it's just too much to do on the show. Man, we're already stretching in some weeks.
When I saw it was 4 pages, I decided not to read it on air.
Yeah.
So that can be between you guys. You can find me at Matt the Lifeguard on Instagram and on Twitter. I don't know what I was saying. Once again, thank you, Ryan Murphy. Go for an even 4 times. Thank you, Ryan Murphy. And we will catch you next time on the Podcast of Terror.
Stay scary, kids.